Coming up next on Good Morning El Paso.
Happening today, the Isleta School District will have its State of the District address this morning. A look at the issues facing taxpayers.
Also, could El Paso Children's Hospital soon file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy? What would happen if it does? Plus,
Muhammad that I knew was extremely kind, extremely gentle, extremely soft-spoken.
friends of killer jihadi John are shocked to learn someone they knew could turn out to be so violent. The latest on the ISIS member's background.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
Good morning, everyone. Here's a live look outside from our downtown cam.
You can see that the wind is moving along some steam out there, and of course we can't tell exactly just how strong those winds are this morning, but we do know that it is going to be a windy day today.
That's our visual effects guy out there.
Yes.
We wanted to let you know how windy it is. Welcome back to Good Morning El Paso, everyone. I'm Hillary Floren.
And I'm Stephanie Valle. It is 6:01 on your Friday morning, so good thing is we made it to the end of the week.
We did. We made it through all the wind, but the bad news is that it's still out there this morning, Crystal.
Doesn't it feel like we should be able to say that, man? We made it through the windy week.
Done.
But we've got more windy week ahead of us. We are talking this weekend and into next week, still those gusts high. Today, your gusts up to about 30 miles per hour in the afternoon. Let's talk about your conditions outside. 31 in El Paso. It's chilly. It feels like 24 thanks to those winds at 7 miles per hour. Now I have to say, yet again, if you're along West Mountain slopes, that could be far east El Paso County, it could be up against the Oregon, Franklin Mountains, any of these areas, you are going to experience winds a little stronger. We just had, yet again, one of our lights in the studio do a little shake, so that's when we know the winds are picking up outside. In Las Cruces, 29 our temperature. It feels like 19 degrees. Grab your big coat if you're in Las Cruces. We are looking at winds now 11 miles per hour, which is why it's feeling so much cooler. On your clouds and radar map, also some snow that fell overnight over the Sacramento Mountains. That's moved off, but will more snow return? We'll take another peek at your future track model a few minutes from now.
All right, thanks so much, Crystal.
A $452 million bond proposal has a lot of people talking.
Later today, the superintendent of Isleta ISD district will be talking, delivering the state of the district.
Good morning, El Paso's Luke Liddon is live with more. Luke.
Superintendent Xavier De La Torre will deliver the State of the District address to the community later this morning. The address is scheduled from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. later today at the YISD Central Office Atrium located at 9600 Sims Drive. There's been a lot of commotion lately in regards to De La Torre's $452 million bond proposal. The plan would be to use that money to close empty schools, repair, build, and renovate old buildings. De La Torre says he feels very confident of the work put into the bond to the point where the district is already working on contracts to manage the projects after the bond passes. He says if the bond does pass, the district will have limited time to work on getting projects done over just 5 summers, and he wants to get started right away. In case the bond does not pass, the contract will then be null and void. Here's a recap how much the different YISD high school feeder patterns will get if the bond does pass. $65.7 million for Bel Air, $89 million for Del Valle, and the big one, $94 million for Eastwood, nearly $47 million for Hanks, $26 million for Parkland, $42 million for Riverside, $39 million for Isleta, and almost $50 million for other projects, a total of nearly $452 million. And one major point making many parents upset in the district is the potential tax increase with this bond. It'd be around $91 more. For a $100,000 home, the total tax bill would be $975 compared to $884 taxpayers pay right now. De La Torre said that would be anywhere from $5 to $12 more per month. We'll have more updates later today at noon. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Luke. Will El Paso Children's Hospital file for bankruptcy? Earlier this week, University Medical Center gave Children's the option of repaying just short of $50 million of what it owes UMC. In exchange, UMC would acquire a controlling interest in Children's. Initially, UMC said it wanted Children's to accept the offer by today, and then talk of a possible counteroffer surfaced. Earlier this week, Children's Board Chair Rosemary Castillo admitted to ABC7 the board has discussed declaring bankruptcy. When she wouldn't return any of our calls, though, we returned to local bankruptcy attorney Edgar Borrego of Tansy and Borrego. He says filing for Chapter 11 would allow the hospital to reorganize its debt with their creditors, most notably UMC. It would preserve the organizational structure, including its board of managers, but he added bankruptcy would not ensure Children's long-term future. By the way, El Paso County Judge Veronica Escobar told us she never received a formal request from the Children's Hospital chair to meet with county commissioners about the terms, so it does not appear that meeting will actually happen.
Fort Bliss has confirmed the construction worker killed at the new William Beaumont Army Medical Center site on Tuesday was Jesus Moreno of El Paso. His family allowed us to use this photo of him from Facebook. We spoke with a fellow construction worker who didn't want to be identified. He says when Moreno was welding, there was an explosion and Moreno fell. He added that there was a safety orientation at the site, but that it's not the case for many other construction jobs. Now, this accident comes on the same week that other El Paso construction workers traveled to Austin to urge lawmakers to enforce stricter safety practices at construction sites. They're hoping the state will reform the construction industry to enforce rest breaks and safety training. Meanwhile, Moreno's family has set up a GoFundMe account to help pay for funeral expenses. If you'd like to donate, just go to KVIA.com and search for Jesus Moreno.
A former school board member with the El Paso Catholic Diocese has pleaded guilty now to receiving and sharing child porn. Victor Jerome Ressa entered his plea yesterday. Prosecutors agreed to drop a charge of possession of material depicting sexual exploitation of children. According to the El Paso Times, Ressa is out on bond, but he does have to wear a monitoring device. Sentencing is scheduled for May 11th.
Funding has officially run out for the Department of Homeland Security. However, it could come down to a series of last-minute votes today. House Speaker John Boehner outlined a plan to introduce a 3-week continuing resolution that would fund the department temporarily for 3 weeks. Republicans are being accused of holding off on passing funding because they want to repeal the president's immigration policies. But it appears that House Republicans may leave those policies in place for now and approve short-term funding. This morning, we're learning the surprising background of the savage ISIS killer known as Jihadi John. Those who knew him before his conversion are now speaking out. Here's ABC's Bazi Kanani with the story developing now.
The identity of the world's most wanted man revealed.
Our knife will continue to strike the necks of your people.
Mohammed Emwazi, 26 years old, college educated, raised in this mixed income West London neighborhood where friends are stunned.
The Muhammad that I knew was extremely kind, extremely gentle, extremely soft-spoken, was the most humble young person that I knew.
Authorities figured out Emwazi's identity soon after the beheading of American James Foley in August.
To me, it's just tragic that he would, such a talented young man, would lose his way and become part of such a brutal network as ISIS.
The unmerciful ISIS leader then slaying Americans Stephen Sotloff and Peter Kassig, plus 2 Britons and 2 Japanese hostages. Emwazi left Britain for Syria 3 years ago, his identity confirmed just as 3 young men from New York became the latest arrested while trying to travel to Syria to join ISIS. Counterterrorism officials say they are struggling to stop ISIS's reach through social media.
We are losing the battle to the amount of use of social media and other internet-based activities eclipses our effort.
British security firms had been tracking Emwazi for several years. It's not known how he fell off their radar and got to Syria to join ISIS. Bazi Kanani, ABC News, Washington.
It's 6:08. Here's a live look at traffic. This is I-10 and Piedras. Nice and clear. Things moving fine in both directions. We'll let you know if there are any trouble spots this morning.
And it was the day that llamas and a dress broke the internet.
The internet, it broke again. Yesterday was one of the most viral days in social media history.
What these 2 runaway llamas had to do with it.
And it was a heated night for the UTEP Miners. Coach Tim Floyd even getting tossed from the game.
We'll have the highlights from that game. Watching that video, pretty intense there. They played La Tech. We'll let you know what happened.
And let's go ahead and talk about the weather. Not getting heated, the temperatures, right?
Unfortunately, Crystal.
Yeah, not until your weekend, and definitely not as intense as that video was. But we are talking some windy weather. We'll look at how high the winds gust coming up.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.